Susan, Farsightedness of a New Muslimah. In 1980, first masjid was opened in Laurel, Maryland. Abdul Qadir was a Burmese Muslim. He used to offer Zohar prayer in this masjid on Sundays. He married an American lady, and one day he mentioned his difficulties to me like this. He said, I'm married to a Christian lady. We are blessed with twin daughters, and I am worried about the future of my children. I tried my best to bring my wife to this masjid, but she totally refused. What should I do? I advised him to bring her to our house for a dinner. She will meet my wife and would feel more comfortable meeting with other Muslim ladies. This approach worked. Susan started coming to the masjid and also started attending sessions of tafsir or interpretations and explanations of Quran in the masjid. A few weeks passed very well. One Friday, I was conducting the tafsir session. I gave an explanation of a few verses of the Quran and then, as usual, invited questions from the participants. Susan asked a question. Another gentleman responded even before I could say anything. To my surprise, Susan started crying bitterly while sitting in the session. Everybody was confused. She did not stop crying. Abdul Qadir led her out of the masjid and drove her home. Later on, I asked Abdul Qadir the reason for her crying. He said, Susan refused to go to the masjid again. She felt that her question had annoyed the person who answered it, since he had a very serious face. She does not like to annoy anybody. I said to Abdul Qadir, please explain to her calmly and cool-mindedly that many people from India and Pakistan have serious faces. You can see this at any airport or bus stop or shopping center. This is our cultural drawback. Susan gradually digested this idea and after a few months returned to the masjid. She learnt more and more about Islam every week. She found the question answer session very beneficial in understanding Islamic values and faith. She developed many friendly relationships with other ladies in the masjid and received lots of encouragement and respect. She liked this new way of life and wished to embrace Islam. I had the honor to invite her to recite the Shahada, the Islamic pledge. I also performed the Islamic marriage between them in the masjid the same day. Susan started enjoying a new life under the blessing of Islamic faith. During the Islamic marriage, I explained to them that it was mandatory for the husband to give a mahr or a gift to his wife. I also reminded them that the mahr is a personal property of wife and she can use it in any way she chooses. The husband has no say in this matter throughout his life. Abdul Qadir eagerly agreed to pay the mahr. Susan was amazed to see the respect according to a woman in Islam and the way her rights were protected. It definitely strengthened her Islamic faith. This situation took place in the state of Maryland. I would like to mention a similar situation that took place in state of Michigan a few years later. As a Imam of Tawheed Masjid It was one of my duties to perform marriages in this state. A young Irani Muslim asked me to conduct his marriage with a Christian lady. I explained to them the rights of men and women in Islam and about the mahar. Both of them filled out prescribed forms for marriage and the form for payment of mahar. Then I asked them if they had any question before entering into marriage bond. The lady said, I have no question. The young man said, I have an important question to ask you. He said, I understand that I am supposed to give her the mahar and that will be exclusively her personal property. Is she not similarly supposed to give me a mahar? I told him that in Islam the mahar is for wife only. Like Susan, this lady was amazed to see such dignity and honor given to women in Islam. Susan's Muslim name was Saida. She embraced Islam with clear knowledge, utmost sincerity, and full commitment. She immediately started observing the full Islamic dress, irrespective of fear from neighbors and general public. Saida and her two daughters wore Islamic dress and looked very distinguished and graceful wherever they went. This was a unique scene at that time in America. Her daughters were going to elementary school at that time. She asked them to wear headscarf in school, despite that the children tease them and make fun of them. I told Susan that she does not have to put her children through this psychological pressure at this young age by forcing them to wear headscarf in the school. Susan was very far-sighted lady. She said to me and her husband, these young girls have to learn to live Islamic life, Islamic way of life from this young age. They may become careless later. This was her level of faith and commitment. I and Abdul Qadir felt ashamed of ourselves. Abdul Qadir laughed loudly to confess our weak faith as compared with Susan. Abdul Qadir added that we, the born Muslims, take Islam very lightly and hence our commitment is shaky. Abdul Qadir and Saida have a very peaceful and enjoyable family life.